Well, good morning. And it is a good morning. It's a great morning. Nice and warm, toasty. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Venice, or as we like to call it, UCOV. My name is Dave Lyon, and I will be your worship associate this morning. We welcome you. We know you come here for different reasons: to find community, to seek spiritual and personal truths, to question, to nurture your heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find the answers to some of your biggest questions. We welcome you. We know you come from different places, different religions, different beliefs, and different backgrounds. We hope you will find comfort, connection, and challenge and love here. We hope you will find, We hope you will find ways to provide outreach to others in UCOV, in our community, and in our world community. Welcome to church today. And speaking of welcoming, do we have any visitors or guests who are brave enough to raise your hand and tell us your name and where you're from?
Hi, my name is Paul Scholl, and I'm a member at UUSRQ, and Jay is, I know Jay quite well. And thanks for having me.
Any others?
My name is Sarah Ornstein. I used to come here prior to the pandemic and enjoyed helping with the children and participating in the writers group and the book club. And for various reasons, I have not been able to come back, but I'm here today.
Welcome back. Any others? First time visitors, guests? Okay. Well, let's just take a minute right now to say hello to your neighbor and greet them this morning.
Tanya invited me down, and some people were thinking of Fascism, so I thought, well, great subject. I knew what I'm doing on Rising Gathering on Wednesday.
If you'd like to learn more about us and all that we offer, please visit our Facebook page, which has everything on it, and our website at uucov.org. Announcements today, there's a few on the back of your order of service. They're taking a collection. I think everybody got a little piece of paper as they came in that they're taking collections for the local wildlife organization. Does anybody else have an announcement they'd like to make? Can you get a mic for Judy? He's right behind you.
I just wanted to let everyone know that mat making is not going to be on the 9th. It was yesterday, so it'll be 2 weeks from then. So.
And special offering is next Sunday.
Just a reminder, tomorrow night we're having a Meatless Monday over at Waters Hall. Please bring a dish to share and bring your own plates and silverware, etc., because we make it a zero waste event. We'd love to have you join us.
Okay. And there's still things going on this summer. So now's the time to check your cell phone, make sure they're silenced so we don't have any interruptions during the service. The challenge sliding I have selected was written by Eric Hepburn. We light this flame to remind us love is the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love remains the center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love remains. We are so blessed to have that talent with us. Well, it's time for our offering. Giving is a sacred practice. When you give to your church, you also receive. As usual, our offering words are offered with levity because giving should always happen with a smile. So here we go. After a long illness, a woman died and arrived at the gates of heaven. While she was waiting for St. Peter to greet her, she peeked through the gates. She saw a beautiful banquet table. Sitting all around were her parents and all the other people she had loved, and they began calling greetings to her. "Hello, how are you? We've been waiting for you. Good to see you." When St. Peter came by, the woman said to him, "This is such a wonderful place. How do I get in?" St. Peter said, "You have to spell a word." And she said, "What's the word?" And he said, "The word is love." So she did L-O-V-E, and the woman correctly spelled love, and St. Peter welcomed her into heaven. About 2 years later, St. Peter came to the woman and asked her to watch the gates of heaven for him that day. While the woman was guarding the gates of heaven, her husband arrived. "I'm surprised to see you," the woman said. "How have you been?" "Oh, I've been doing pretty well," he said, "since you died. I married the beautiful young nurse who took care of you while you were ill. Oh, and then I won the lottery. I sold the little house that you and I lived in and bought a big mansion. My wife and I traveled all around the world. We were on vacation and I went water skiing today. I fell, the ski hit me on my head, and here I am. How do I get in? She said, you have to spell a word. The husband said, what is the word? And she smiled and said, Czechoslovakia. This morning's collection will now be taken and gratefully received. Thank you for your generosity and all you do to sustain the mission and the life of this congregation. Well, it's time for celebration and sorrows. We come together to share joys, celebrations, milestones, as well as sorrows. You can raise a hand and a microphone will arrive for you. If you'd like to talk about a celebration, a sorrow, a joy, a milestone, just raise your hand. Oops. And we got Jean, the birthday girl.
Hello, hi. I'm Jean B., and today's the first Sunday of the month, so it is our birthday celebration Sunday. And look at all of these people that are celebrating today. Those of you who are not with us, we celebrate you as well. And we have Nancy Bratt. Nancy, a big hello from all of us. Kim McHugh. Tony is right here with us, Tony McNair. Roxy Platt. Marcia Smith is here with us, right over there on the right. Dick Smith. Dick Smith. Hi, Dick. Okay. And Jim Willott. So come to the table and join us afterward for birthday cake and wonderful celebrations. There's plenty of balloons, too, to take home. Thank you very much.
Any other celebrations? Donna's got one.
Good morning. I'm Donna Jewett. I just wanted to thank everybody. I had my back surgery last week, and I am doing well. And I thank you all for helping and being there for me and just supporting me. And I just felt the love and the care. And I am on my way back to New England in a week or so. So here I go.
Please keep Tony and I in your thoughts. We're going back to Indiana. Tony's son is not doing well at all. He's been diagnosed with cancer in 4 spots in his body. So if you'll give us a thought and a prayer, we'd greatly appreciate it.
I second that move.
Anybody else? May the gratitudes and celebrations among us this day become a blessing to us all. May the concerns and sorrows of those be shared in all our hearts. A burden shared is a load lightened. So let's stand in body or spirit and sing hymn number 1002 in the blue hymnal, Comfort Me, all 5 verses. And Lisa's going to play it through once for those that aren't familiar with it. Well, it's time to introduce our guest, who's really a familiar face to us, the Reverend Jay Wolin from the UU Sarasota congregation, who's frequently been here before. We see his pictures in the paper at the various protests. We saw him at the school board meetings a few years ago. He's very active in social justice, so let's give a warm welcome to Reverend Jay.
Thank you, David, and thank you all for having me here today. I see one thing that is true in almost every UU congregation I've been in. No one sits in the front row, and everybody's in the back, but I guess that's the nature of things. My responsive reading today is entitled, "We Are Here to Support Each Other." It is a call and response, one that I used at an interfaith gathering, vigil that we had a couple of months ago. And so I will say something, and then I will invite you to say, "We are here to support each other." So let's try that. We are here to support each other. When immigrants, both documented and undocumented, are fearful of being abducted without due process. We are here to support each other. When healthcare protections are threatened and millions fear losing access to doctors and medicine. We are here to support each other. When protections for the environment are rolled back and we disregard to care for our common planet. We are here to support each other. When acts of hate rise across the country and racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and xenophobia grow louder. We are here to support each other. When LGBTQ plus rights are ignored and healthcare is denied to many beloveds in our community. We are here to support each other. When education on African American and LGBTQ history and current lived experiences are denied. We are here to support each other. When freedom of the press is attacked and truth is undermined. We are here to support each other. When economic policies favor the wealthy and deepen the suffering of the poor. We are here to support each other. When women's rights to control their own bodies and futures are under siege. We are here to support each other. When science is silenced and facts are pushed aside for political gain. We are here to support each other. When the spirit of compassion, justice, and democracy itself is placed in jeopardy. We are here to support each other. Wherever we may be on this journey in life. We are here to support each other. Thank you.
As we approach our time for meditation, I like to quote the following. Unitarian Universalism is a faith based on love, but it often feels easier to extend that love to others rather than to ourselves. With love at the center of our UU heritage, it is a wonder that so many of us think of ourselves as unworthy of love. This love is for everyone, including you and me. Now let's take a minute to contemplate those thoughts, relax into a moment of silent thought, meditation, or prayer.
I'd like to start my reflection with a reading from the book On Freedom by Timothy Snyder. Most of us, I know I've read first his On Tyranny book, which I also highly recommend, but I would also recommend this book as well, On Freedom. If we want to be free, we will have to affirm, not just deny. Sometimes we will have to destroy. But more often than not, we will need to create. Most often, we will need to adapt both the world and ourselves on the basis of what we know and value. We need structures, just the right ones, moral as well as political. Virtue is an inseparable part of freedom. Freedom is not an absence, but a presence. A life in which we choose multiple commitments and realize combinations of them in this world. Over time, our choices among virtues define us as a people. The space between what is and what ought to be is where we roam as free people, extending the borderland of the unpredictable. We decide which values to affirm, in what combination, for what reasons, and at what time. And then we try again. With practice, we attain our own form of grace. So, over the last 6 months, there have been continuous actions that have curtailed freedoms, in my opinion. And there have been growing conversations about parallels between our current political climate and Nazi Germany in the early 1930s. And then if you read online, there are people that say, how dare you compare this to Nazi Germany? And others say, well, maybe not the concentration camp, but, before that. And so I would say we are talking about Nazi Germany before power was fully consolidated and the machinery of mass murder began. I thought, therefore, it would be important to understand exactly what fascism is. We hear this word fascism, same thing. People say, don't use the word fascism, that's not real. And most people don't really understand what fascism is. So I thought it'd be good to really lay out what it is and how it is antithetical to our values. Now, of course, authoritarian leaders have existed throughout history. However, as a modern political movement, fascism, as we think of it now, started right after World War I, based on the Fascist Manifesto written by an Italian socialist, Alceste d'Ambrí. That is definitely an online pronunciation of his name. I don't really know. But many of the items in the manifesto, I was really surprised when I read this, surprisingly include many things that we might agree with. Right? It was envisioned as a middle way between unfettered capitalism on the one hand and slow process of democratic change. And on the other hand, a totalitarian communism that had risen in Russia and had really, at that point, they had already seen the abuses that were happening in Russia. But however, how it was put into practice was something quite different. In 1932, Mussolini, who became the fascist leader in Italy, described fascism, and I quote, as a closed universe in which the state is all-embracing, and outside which no human or spiritual values can exist, end quote. Now, Mussolini began as a socialist newspaper editor, but broke with the socialist movement as he supported World War I. And although Italy was on the winning side of World War I, its economy was devastated because of this economic devastation and the fact that the socialists opposed the war, socialists won the majority in parliament. and after the war. And so the fight for workers' rights created unrest. Worker strikes and talk of redistribution of land, similar to the Russian Revolution, led to a stalemate in their government, and the economy continued to falter. Mussolini created the fascist party that fed off the anger of the people toward the government's ineffectualness and fear of communism. That's a key part, which you'll hear later, right? There's always got to be someone to fear. He talked of unifying the country. Mussolini created and encouraged gangs called black shirts that used violence against opponents to win seats in parliament. Mussolini orchestrated a march on Rome to take power. And the king of Italy was caught in this vice between the socialists on the one side and the capitalists on the other, and the king told the police to stand down, right, fearing that conflict with the fascists would lead the communists to power. So Mussolini took power and created laws that kept him in power. Right? And Mussolini eliminated political parties. He ended freedom of the press, destroyed labor unions. He was unable to solve Italy's economic problems and led Italy into one failed war after another, culminating in World War II. Now, Nazi Germany, like Italy, began its descent into fascism after World War I. Its economy was in shambles and was then further devastated by the Depression. And again, an ineffectual government in fear of communism allowed Hitler to rise to power. And once in control, he created laws that gave him complete power. He was upfront from the very start about his hatred of the Jewish people. Once he had complete power, he started persecution. And Sarah Bloomfield, who's at the time the head of the U.S. Holocaust Museum, reminds us that the first people murdered were Germans with disabilities, and that those complicit included doctors and judges. In fascist system, dissent is punished. Right? We saw this, but we saw this just the last couple of days, the report that the Smithsonian was forced to take Trump's impeachment out of their impeachment display. But then there was a lot of pushback, and now they're walking it back a little bit and saying it's going to be put back in. But they specifically said they were pressured by the government to take his name out of the impeachment display. So in fascist systems, dissent is punished. And we have seen just recently, again, the person who came out with the labor statistics, he didn't like them. He fired the person who came out with the statistics, as if that is going to change the statistics to be better. But if you don't follow what is said, there is punishment. And this is why people are alarmed at today's government, compiling lists, dismantling agencies, firing dissenters. Bloomfield goes on to tell the story of bringing in a new Washington, D.C. police chief to view the Holocaust Museum, the genocide of the Jews in World War II. And at the end of the visit, he said, and I quote, "I saw my own profession in so many of the photographs in this museum. What was my profession doing up on the walls? How is it that ordinary policemen gradually over time became part of this system?" Well, we see this in America today, right? ICE officers, our government's own special police force, are engaging local police to arrest both documented and undocumented individuals and even citizens unknowingly. Florida law prohibits sanctuary cities and pressures localities to cooperate by threatening funding. And this is coercion. In 1923, before Hitler came to power, he tried a similar power grab as Mussolini. March to Rome. However, the army stood up to the Nazis at that point, and Hitler was arrested, actually. He realized he could more easily use political machinations to better achieve his goals. Right? This is why we must be ever vigilant. We must even over vigilant, right? We must be vigilant both in holding our government accountable and living our democratic values. Yes, there were many German police who had long held anti-Semitic views. I'm sure that is true. But there were just probably as many, if not more, who were just following orders. We heard them say this at the Nuremberg trials, right? Just not wanting to make waves, just trying to protect their salary and pension, to make the rent payment and to put food on the table. And those are real things that we see happening again today. But as Jesus said, what good is it to gain the whole world but lose your soul? It is up to us as citizens to make sure that certain Rubicons are not passed, and they already have been, in my opinion. We cannot be silent. We must be willing to speak up and rise up as necessary to stop this current rise of fascism. The common theme of how fascist governments start is with significant economic anxiety, in which democracies or monarchies in the past cannot overcome. Now, America at the beginning of the 20th century had a large communist movement due to this. And there were also many fascist elements as well within our country. But we as a country found a middle way, a better way. We chose to create a safety net to reduce people's suffering. And after the Great Depression, due to the severity of the economic devastation, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt instituted the New Deal, created jobs and programs that helped prevent this country from swinging too far to the extremes of fascism or communism. In 2008, we had a significant financial crisis in this country with the housing market crash. And timing is everything, but I was a part of that, right? With many, I didn't lose my home, but I lost a big chunk of my retirement, with many people losing their homes. Not only was no one held accountable, but many large corporations were bailed out. And that set the stage. I really believe that set the stage for what is happening today. We have seen jobs shipped overseas and the wealth gap widening. I just want to, this may go a little long, but I do want to tell this story. Before I served in Sarasota, I served in Iowa, Davenport, Iowa. The largest employer was John Deere. And for the last 5 years I was there, they were shipping and closing factories and moving them overseas. And so I just want to say we have to be very careful. I remember, and all those people will never find a job making nearly as much money as they had in those factory jobs. And I remember when Donald Trump threatened John Deere and said, if you move that factory to Mexico, we're going to tariff it. And I then completely understood why all these workers supported him, right? Because all these people were losing their jobs, losing their houses, because this government did nothing to protect them. So we have to find a middle way that helps everyone, right? So anyway, so fascist focus, I just want to point out a few other things that signs from history that show that we are on the onset of fascism. Fascists focus on rampant nationalism. We see this in the cutting of funds for U.S. aid and the America First movement, which in the 19th century was used by nativists against Catholics. And America First, shockingly, was the motto of the Ku Klux Klan after a wave of immigration prior to and after World War I. And America First was used by Nazi sympathizers at the onset of World War II. So when we say America First, we know who they are aligning with, as now it is being used by current leaders and people of our government. Fascists focus on demonizing the other, whether it is anti-Semitism, transphobia, homophobia, Islamophobia, xenophobia. It is always to demonize the other. And we have clearly seen this in discussions of immigrants, whether they are documented or undocumented. Fascists disparage governing institutions and electoral process. And we see this in the voter suppression laws being enacted throughout our country, such as the current SAVE Act, and the ongoing dismantle of government agencies, such as the Department of Education, and as well as the gerrymandering that is going to extremes now in Texas, as we've heard recently. Fascists attack the independent press and judiciary. And we have seen this as our current president threatens judges by name when they rule against his policies. And the government barred the AP News and others from the White House briefings because they would not recognize the name Gulf of America, or they might ask uncomfortable or challenging questions. Fascists threaten violence against those who oppose them. Our president has specifically threatened Liz Cheney, General Mark Milley, Joe Biden, and just this last week, reposted a video, an AI video, of President Obama getting arrested. If it wasn't so sad and dangerous, it would be funny. In California, this government has used violence against peaceful protesters and journalists. Fascists exploits symbols of patriotism, such as hugging a flag, or condemning protests of kneeling for the national anthem. Now as I pointed out earlier, there can be legitimate discussions about many political disagreements. I do want to say that. We are not all in uniformity on every single issue, but none of what is happening today is with the intent of dialogue to find common ground. It is done specifically with the effort to turn us against each other. Fascists nurture our anger and resentment to turn us against each other, to have us lose faith in the system, to lose faith in our own ability to create a better system. And if we lose faith, if we believe that the system is rigged, then we will turn away when corruption happens. We will turn away when violence happens. Our government is disappearing legal residents to prisons in El Salvador. Although one person was returned, there are still others there. Some have been sent now back to their home countries, but others are still there. We are separating legal citizen children from their parents to coerce their parents to leave the country. That's just cruel, in my opinion. The government is refusing to obey Supreme Court rulings. So just this cursory overview tells me we are well on our way into sliding into fascism. Nothing, though, nothing is inevitable. I want to repeat that. Nothing is inevitable. This is why it is important to be unified, with a strong moral religious voice, saying that such things are not moral. There has to be some moral base that we stand on. We must provide hope for the hopeless and those without power. And then when we can, we have to make that hope real. Right? It's not easy and it is not quick. In the United States, there is always a tension between efficiency and freedom, right? A tension between equality and freedom, right? So we have this tension of the idea of individualism and leveling the playing field so meritocracy can truly rise. To come together for the common good, we are required to share our resources. We as a country have to ask, How much is enough for any one person or corporation to have while our citizens are struggling for the basic necessities of life? Timothy Snyder points out that equality and freedom are intertwined. He writes, stripping equality away from freedom makes it meaningless. We can all be equally miserable, right? Equality, we can all be equally zombified, or we can all be equally dead, right? I would add that stripping equality from freedom, this is me, end quote, I would add that stripping equality from freedom has its consequences as well. Right? We are not free of consequences if we hoard all our resources and not pay taxes, right? We are not free of consequences if we poison the waterways and pollute the air. Right? We are not free from consequences if we harm the innocent. And if I do not have money, I am not free of consequences to steal your food and car. So we have to ask, freedom for whom and to do what? Freedom for those empowered to oppress or subjugate the weak? Is that what we want freedom for? I say no. It is impossible to have total freedom and total equality. But I believe, again, there is a middle way. I believe it, a better way. And that is why we have covenants, right? I talked about it earlier. We individuals, communities, have covenants, right? We choose to come together as a congregation, as a community, as a country, and we covenant with each other. It is how we express our values in life. Some covenants are explicit and some are implicit. As a country, we have an implicit covenant that we will care for the elderly, right? Not allow them to die so we can save a little bit of money. That's why we enacted Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. We have an implicit covenant that we will respect those in the military who served our country and not cut staff and budget and benefits for the Veterans Affairs as our current government is doing. We have both explicit and implicit covenants that leaders will not put their personal interests over the interests of our country. And when these covenants are broken, as they are broken every single day now, people must speak up and act and call those who have broken covenant back into covenant. We must speak to the moral values of our religion. Even in, I would say, especially in the crisis that we are in today. We must not just be against something. We must posit what we are for, whether it is a congregation or a country. And we have to be in it for the long haul. Unitarian Universalism allows for the free religious expression of our beliefs. We require no creed and often no dogma, but we do require your participation, your covenant to each other, to the congregation, to other UU congregations. We are here for more than just our own self-fulfillment. Right? That is our value of justice. We work to be a diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. That is one of our values. So let us not forget the all part of that, where all thrive. Let us believe in and create a better way. I believe in all my heart in an America where all people have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of justice, right? Pursuit of happiness, not just the select few. I believe in an America where differences are not feared but celebrated, where diversity is our strength, not our weakness. I believe in an America where our future is not dictated by fear, but shaped by our values of compassion, courage, collaboration, and community. I believe in you. I believe in us. I believe in the ideals of a democratic America. Don't give up. Just don't give up. We all need each other, all of us. May it be so. Please rise and by the Andor Spirit for our closing hymn, Come and Go with Me. Thank you. Thank you. In the teal hymn. And feel free to join. Thank you for clapping along. Yes. Our closing words come from Democracy and Retrograde by Sammy Sage and Emily Emick. The solution to our problem is all of us, each stepping up in our own unique ways. You don't need to do everything, but we really need everyone to do something. As we extinguish our chalice, where is that chalice? Ah. Well, okay. I don't know how. That's the old pagan, don't blow on the flame. As we extinguish this chalice, let the symbol of its light burn bright with us as we go out into the world, and let us bring this light to others in all that we do. May it be so.
Our end's a little different, huh?